Yeah, so without further ado, Skylar, do you want to give our segment 2 sponsor, and we'll hop right in and bring Jesse on?
Let's do it. Segment 2 is sponsored by PNLBusinessServices.com. We know firsthand that getting your monthly reporting, invoicing, bill pay, taxes, and other essential business services right is critical. That's why at P&L Business Services, we go beyond bookkeeping by providing you with everything you need in your back office so that you can have your time back and the peace of mind to do what you love most, which is building your business. Behind every successful business is a great bookkeeper. Contact P&L Business Services right now at pnlbusinessservices.com. If you feel like that you need that taken care of, I'm telling you what, they take care of everything. Payroll, accounting, consulting, anything you need, they got it. Thank you so much for your continued support of segment 2. Let's roll it. We got Florida State. I'm going to let you introduce them. Let's go.
Yeah, so we're going to bring on Jesse from the Plant the Spear podcast. Jesse, how you doing tonight, man? We appreciate you coming on to talk some College World Series ball with us.
Man, I'm great. Just excited to be here. Excited to be back in the World Series. I know this is going to be, to me, we were talking about this. Michael joined me on our show earlier, and we were talking about. I think this is really going to be one of the top card games of this tournament because, man, I think these are two teams. When you look at Tennessee and Florida State, I know this is kind of like my old man phrase. This is played out a few years ago, but these two teams got swag. You know what I mean? They are intense teams. They like to talk a little smack. They like to get up in your face. And, I mean, it's going to be a fireworks show. You're talking about two teams that hit 25 home runs in the Super Regional in 5 games. I mean, this is going to be an awesome game to kick off the World Series with. But, man, I appreciate y'all having me on.
I appreciate you joining, man. I just kind of want to talk about this. Is it not crazy that we're talking about this game, and this could be the only cross-divisional game in the World Series to kick it off?
Yeah.
As we've kind of talked about, this is automatically an SEC, ACC affair here in the World Series. We've kind of taken it over. And if Georgia somehow pulls it off against NC State tonight, then the only cross-division game, meaning one bracket would be completely SEC, and then, obviously one game in our bracket is ACC. It's kind of crazy that it's the 1 versus 8 seed. Maybe explain to the folks why it is 1 versus 8, and if you know this, and not necessarily because y'all are not the lowest seed in the tournament anymore. But it's still going to be 1 versus 8. Do you understand that? Can you explain to the listeners maybe that don't know why that is?
Yeah, so I mean they get seeded prior to the regionals, the postseason. So you get all your seeds, and then they don't reseed, which I kind of wish they would after the super regionals, but they don't. So for us, it was huge to get the top 8 national seed because we needed to host. We are a much better team at home. And so now, like you said, I mean, Virginia, I believe, is the 12th seed. I haven't really looked too much at the other side of the bracket, but, we're not even the lowest seed in this side of the bracket. But, yeah, it's just because it's seeded beforehand. And, I mean, we were really in a battle for that 9th seed with Georgia and Oklahoma. And then what we were able to do in the ACC tournament, outside of getting our doors blown off by Duke in the final game, it got us across that hump. So it was big, and they've kind of sweat through 5-0 in the regional and the super regional, and so now we got to run into that buzzsaw that is Tennessee.
Yeah, so I was talking this morning with you, and you asked me the question, so I'm going to turn it around on you. Who are you most nervous besides Tennessee about playing in this College World Series?
Right answer only. Nobody. All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah, really. I think it starts with Tennessee. I feel like when you look at UVA, we did beat them in the ACC tournament, which is fairly recent, 12-7. So you feel good about that. But UNC, I mean, they're still a really quality team, but they have, they got the ACC regular season championship. But I mean, on our half of the bracket, I'm going to go, probably with UNC there. But I think it's, like me and Michael talked this morning, I think really out of our side of the bracket, it feels like a Tennessee, Florida State type of race. But I think for us, it's might be more important. I know it's important for both teams. It might be more important for us to win the first game because I think with our biggest Achilles heel this season, I know we'll get into this later, is our bullpen depth. So if we go into the losers bracket, we're probably in trouble. I don't know that we have the depth to dig our way out of it, but I think it's Tennessee's your biggest one, and then North Carolina. And I mean, Virginia's a really, really good team. When I was looking at some numbers from them earlier, but, you feel good because you've already beat them yet. We did not play, although we're both in the ACC, we did not play UNC in the regular season.
Well, I'd like to piggyback on that. You mentioned bullpen depth, and that could be Achilles heel, but Brother, I forgot y'all were playing baseball. Y'all scored 24 against a team. I think the opening game of y'all's super regional. Dude, I mean, tell us about this offense, man. I mean, it sounds like it's a scary one. You mentioned that you had, 25 home runs over the 2 weekends. I mean, is it a top to bottom? Is it top heavy? I mean, what's going on with that Florida State offense? Because I'll be honest, brother, I haven't watched a ton of you, but y'all made some noise this last weekend.
Yeah, man, this has been like the story, the turnaround. So last year, to back it up, Florida State was terrible. I mean, we were 23-31. We were 2-22 at one point. They started the season 19-0, and a lot of that was last year was due to pitching injuries. They just kind of ran out of guys. So this year they got the bullpen straightened out a little bit, but the offense has really absolutely turned around. I mean, just for example, last year we had 55 home runs in the entire season. So far this season, we're at 123. So the power has came back in this lineup, and really it is from top to bottom. And that UConn series, man, that was so big for this team because we looked at UConn, and I mean, I didn't expect them to come out of that Norman Regional, to be honest. I thought it'd be Duke or Oklahoma. But that's a really solid defensive team. I know a lot of people will see UConn and kind of go, it's UConn. But, I mean, they're a solid program. They held Duke to 1 run. They held Oklahoma to 1 run twice. And then we went out and I tweeted during the game, I was like, and Florida State's holding a 3-touchdown lead going into the, into the 8th inning or something like that. So it was really big. I mean, it is one of the best offenses in college baseball, but it is a little boomer bust. Sometimes they're with it, sometimes they're not. But when they're on, man. And they are, I mean, really top to bottom. So the first 5 batters in the order have a combined 91 home runs, and they're all hitting over 300, with Cam Smith hitting over 400. So even in the postseason, when our ACC Player of the Year, James Tibbs, he struggled a little bit. He got into a little bit of a slump. I don't think he had a hit in the entire regional. He took a bunch of walks because nobody really wants to pitch it to him. But you had other guys stepping up that you just frankly hadn't really seen a whole lot from throughout the year in that moment. So when one guy's down, they have other guys that can pick them up. But yeah, man, I think from top to bottom, you got some real hitters in this league or in this lineup. And that starts with James Tibbs and obviously Cam Smith as well. Those are really the 2 big names to know. And also Marco Dinges is another guy. Like I said, that top 5 is pretty legit.
Yeah, and then you can't forget about Jamie Farrer with 19 home runs on the year. But yeah, I want to talk about Cam Smith for a minute. Batting over 400 on the year, and he's got more hits than our guy Simo by 1. He's got 102 hits on the year, 16 of those homers. Yeah. But man, 20 doubles on the season, and he doesn't strike out a whole lot either. He's just all the way around a great overall batter. And then you mentioned James Tibbs there with 28 home runs, ACC Player of the Year. Great, 2 great batters right there. But 123 home runs on the season. You said this morning after you looked at Tennessee's number 173. I looked over 123 and I was like, man, that's nothing to sneeze at, because there's some teams that they're not even at 80. Some of them maybe around 50. I mean, this lineup to me kind of mirrors Tennessee's lineup, because top to bottom, there's not really a weak spot in the lineup.
Yeah, if y'all played at Lindsey Nelson, y'all would have like 200 home runs.
That's funny. Sorry. No, I mean, I get it, man, but it really is like the power has been night and day from last year, and that's really what changed this lineup. I mean, you look at James Tibbs, for instance, like I was talking about, he was in a little bit of a slump early on, but that last game against UConn, where we went to 12 innings, we really needed somebody to step up in the moment. He hit 3 2-run home runs. He went 5 of 6 with 3 home runs and 6 RBIs. And so, like, when the bats get hot, this team can score. But, again, the biggest fault with this team, I think, sometimes is they will try and take the cover off the ball. So they will chase some trash every now and then. And you're like, look, just calm down, play your game. But, man, I mean, they're aggressive. They link Jared as someone who's always coached good plate discipline. They will swing at the first pitch. They will lay down a bunt. They will do what's necessary. But I think they are built off hitting home runs. And really, this team is a story of big innings. They have, I think they had a 9-run inning against UCF to kind of put that game away. It's just, man, when they get that big inning, sometimes it'll start really slow, and then they just pop in one inning, and then they kind of carry it off the rest of the game. But they can hurt you top to bottom.
I got you. I've got kind of like a 2-parter here. As Florida State, kind of tell me about the base pass or base pass. I mean, are they a team that gets a guy on and tries to move him over pretty quickly? Because here's my second question to that, man. Tennessee doesn't really try to steal a base. They will get on and then just kind of rely on a base hit or a big home run to get that guy home. But also, Cal Stark is one of those guys who's been really an all-star for us behind the plate as far as controlling the situation and the environment, but also his back picks lately have been insane. So maybe you could catch a aggressive runner off guard. So I'm really intrigued by this matchup because of that right there. I mean, if you guys are maybe, I know we faced some teams in the past like Vanderbilt, man, they get a guy on and they really want to try to take second base immediately. Is that something that you feel like y'all won't really have to worry about? Or, is that where maybe Tennessee can maybe take advantage of or whatnot?
No, I mean, we're not extremely aggressive. I mean, they are 64 of 74 on stolen bases. So, I mean, they will push when the opportunity is there, but they're not looking to steal, like you said, with Vanderbilt, as soon as they get on. I mean, the thing is, like, this team, this lineup, they have a lot of really big guys. They don't have a ton of speed. So one of our speedy guys earlier in the season, Diamez Ross, he's been dealing with injury. He's finally back. So we've seen him pinch running a lot. So the stolen bases have picked up a little bit, but they're not super aggressive on the bases. They don't really like to take chances unless they have to. And when they do, they will. But I also think on the flip side of that, when you look at how we've been against the stolen bases, has not been that great. I think we're allowing somewhere around an 87-ish% clip of stolen bases. So, man, it's the base path is not the greatest, not our biggest strength, but I mean, I think you're kind of in the same vein like you guys, where you get them on and you let hitters hit and you move runners whenever you get the chance, but you're relying on the bats.
100%.
Yeah. So, swapping over sides of the ball here, looking at the pitching matchups, this pitching room is absolutely led by Jamie Arnold, who I mentioned this morning. I think he'll be the number one overall pick next year, just looking at it right now, because he's not draft eligible this year. But, I mean, man, he's 11-3 in the season with a 2.77 ERA. He's pitched over 100 innings this year. I mean, what do you think about the pitching staff for Florida State?
Man, Jamie Arnold has made such a turnaround from last year. I mean, of course, he was a freshman last year, but really, when you back it up, we were so excited coming into this year because we got Cam Leiter from UCF, who was a real, I mean, just electric pitcher. Got hurt about midway through the season. I'm pretty much reading through the tea leaves. He's not going to come back the rest of the season. Maybe next year. But then Connor Whitaker got hurt, our Sunday starter, and he had really kind of just got back into the lineup. He's really kind of working more as a reliever now than a Sunday starter. They're kind of pushing him back to that role, but he's been on a pitch count up until the Super Regional. So the bullpen started really exciting this year, and then we kind of had to shift because we had guys that were midweek starters being pushed into weekend roles. That's where Carson Dorsey came about, because just overcoming those injuries. But one of the best things for us has been the performance that Jamie Arnold has. And I mean, there's not many pitchers in college baseball that are as good as he is. And he is one of the best arms in college baseball. I've heard, comparisons to Randy Johnson. He has that almost sidearm release. He's a left-hander. He's tall. He's kind of got a very quick windup and release. So he gets the ball on top of you really fast. I mean, you mentioned he's 100 innings pitched. He's got 155 strikeouts on the season to only 22 walks. He's got a fastball that touches 95 and probably 97. I mean, he's still throwing 94, 95, 6 innings into the game. He's got a curve that he's working and a slider as well. So he's really a 3-pitch guy. But, I mean, the thing is, we have to have Jamie Arnold do good. And that's why I think he is going to be the guy that you see in this Tennessee game, because I don't think we can afford not to throw him at this because, man, like I said, with the bullpen depth, I don't think we can make it out of the loser's bracket if we get in there. So you got to throw your ace at Tennessee, at a team like Tennessee. But I think Jamie Arnold, he's not always the greatest, and he does have his moments. But man, when he's on, he's on. And really, the way that you beat Florida State, the way that you can really kind of take him out of the game, and this is something that we saw with the UConn game, where the second one where we went to 10 innings is just running that pitch count up. And if you can get him out of the game, that's really your best chance, because in that second game, UConn, he only threw 5 1/3 innings and had 122 pitches. So, I mean, there's a lot of fielding mistakes that, ended up running this pitch count up. But he also. But then you look at the UCF game that we won the second game of the Super Regional. I mean, he threw a perfect inning, or immaculate inning, should I say? So I mean, again, just 9 pitches up and down. So I mean, he's electric, man. But we are riding him. We need him to do well. And then, of course, you have Carson Dorsey is your number 2 guy. He's actually your Friday starter, but obviously I think we're going to flip the roles here. He has been inconsistent throughout the season, but at the same time, in the postseason, he has done really, really well. 69 innings pitched, 7-4 record, 81 Ks, 35 walks, 4.67 ERA. And then, like I said, Connor Whitaker, that's your Sunday starter / reliever if they have to use him in that situation. 55 innings pitched, 5-0 record, 43 Ks, 14 walks. And really in that UConn game, he came in and you could tell Link was going for it all in that game too to close the series out, because we brought our Sunday starter in as relief. And he gave us 3 2/3, only allowed 1 hit, no runs, and 3 strikeouts, and got the win for us. So, I mean, Link will throw the bullpen at you if you have to. The thing with our bullpen, you just don't know, man. It's a crapshoot. Like they completely melted down against Clemson and cost us a game, gave up a late lead. They got hammered by everybody about this bullpen is just suspect. Then they came back and they were electric for the next few games. But then we saw them slip again. And that's what happened in Duke in the ACC championship. We got our doors blown off like 14-7 or something, 16 runs. When we get to that game 3 and we're deeper into that bullpen depth, the wheels will come off. I mean, sometimes you get some guys that step up, but man, we have a lot of guys with pitching experience. They're just, man, they got a little bit of ways to go.
Well, I'll tell you what, if your goal was to get me a little nervous about this game, I think it worked. I know you're trying to walk it back there at the end, but you're telling me that we're getting your best guy, that's usually the Saturday guy. And then also your top 5 in the lineup are like mashing 97 home runs or whatever. I was kind of confident going into this game. I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of nervous now. Because our guys, our offense at least, obviously we score a lot of runs, but I feel like we rely too much on the crooked number inning, way too much.
Yeah,
we can't seem to just score a run here or a couple runs there. It's like we either score 0 or we score 4 or 5. Yeah. So it's one of those things where with your lineup, or your pitching staff, if you're throwing the right guy and then you come in with that, if y'all throw y'all's best stuff and then we have a poor day at the plate, Tennessee very well could find themselves in the loser's bracket, which I do think our bullpen is okay for that. As we've seen in the SEC tournament, Tony V kind of purposely did it. I think he didn't really throw his normal day 1 starter because we started on a Wednesday, I believe. Yeah. So he didn't want to throw his Thursday night, Friday night guy too early. And so that's what we did. I mean, we lost to Vanderbilt in an embarrassing way, but then we clawed out of that thing and ended up winning the whole thing, winning 4 straight. And then we ended up beating Vanderbilt again, the way the bracket worked out. So I don't want to do that again because it's a lot of stress. But I do think Florida State's not an easy draw going to the World Series, and that's the team you got to play. So, I mean, kudos.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you, man. I think Florida State is kind of I know this. I don't want to say overlooked, but I think they are a little bit overlooked in this World Series. I think they're kind of the team that everybody thinks will probably get put out, or maybe didn't belong there, or whatever the case may be. I mean, I'm not trying to sound like Georgia does in the past, where like everybody's doubting the team coming off.
Well, I think it doesn't help that y'all are facing the number 1 team, overall to start the tournament. So,
but I think this is a team that can beat just about anybody, but I think they can also lose to just about anybody. It really just depends. I think for them to beat Tennessee, you're going to need Jamie Arnold to get 7 innings, because I don't know that I trust the bullpen to give you 4 solid innings against that offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm with you there. I mean, Jamie Arnold, he's got to have his stuff, but on the flip side, Tennessee's starter is going to have his
Chris
stuff too.
Thomas and AJ Causey, brother. It's a 1-2 punch.
Yeah, it's like I was talking to you this morning. We're going to start Chris Stamos in game 1, and the hope is that he gives you 3 innings. Try to get through that lineup once. It doesn't always happen that way. I mean, we've seen him get 1 out and then get pulled after giving up like 3 runs in the first. You go immediately to Causey, but that's what's going to that's what Tennessee's going to have to do. Is they're going to have their 2 starters go deep into this game, just like Florida State's going to have Jamie Arnold go deep into the game. Because I mentioned it this morning to you, I've just got a feeling that by the time both teams get to their bullpen, that's when the game's going to open up. We're going to see a lot of runs.
Yeah, I expect there to be some fireworks in this game. I mean, I think, you will get the early, like when everybody's got to settle in and things like that, with these pitching arms that we got that are both really, really talented for both teams. So you may see a slow start, like you said, but I do think just with the power on both of these lineups, I mean, you're going to see some pop, and it's going to be a really fun matchup. I mean, I feel like this is going to be one of those games where you're just about holding your breath for every at bat, because on the one hand, you could get a strikeout, or you could also give up a home run, because it's just, I mean, you're getting to the cream of the crop now, and you have guys who are talented on both sides of the offense and defense. And so, man, this is going to be one where I'm going to be nervous for every at bat. There is going to be no easy outs in this one. There isn't going to be no easy pitches in this one. And you just hope that, for me, I think for Florida State, you just can't let Tennessee jump out on you. I think you got to stay in the game. You got to stay in the fight. Or even like Michael said, I mean, this may even be a situation where, worst case scenario for us, we get jumped out on early. Maybe you sit Jamie Arnold down and you save him for later on in the tournament, because you're going to need that arm later on. But I think you just got to push all your chips in this first game.
This is definitely a game that feels like you got to take advantage of the little breaks, right? Like the pop outs in the foul territory. Got to make those plays, so something you can do to kind of buy an out and prevent that batter a second chance, right? Because both of these offenses have proven to be good enough to where if they get a second chance, they're probably going to take advantage of it. And, I'm looking forward to it. I know I think the game of baseball is going to change a little bit after this year as far as the bats and the pop in the bats. So definitely want to enjoy the offense a little bit more while it lasts. And hopefully this game will give us plenty of it.
Yeah, I'm excited for some fireworks. I mean, again, and even then, like, how many do you see that are 2 foot off in the warning track or whatever that are almost home runs? I mean, yeah, it's just the size and the strength of these athletes nowadays in the college game. I mean, they are just cranking it out like crazy. So yeah, I think you're right. There may be some changes, but yeah, man, to me, this is one of the most exciting matchups of the College World Series. I guess I'm not really excited to draw the number 1 national seed in the first game. But at the same time, I think it's actually good for us, because I think you come out and you are able to push all your chips in against that team. You can look, let's just let it all hang out, and what happens. And if you're going to beat the best, you got to, or be the best, you got to beat the best. And what better way to make a statement and get confidence than to try and beat the number 1 team, in the country. But I mean, it makes you nervous because it could also end very badly for us. But,
right.
I think it's good to get them early, because then you're still fresh with your arms. And that's
I want to piggyback that. Yeah, and I want to piggyback that with if you're going to face the number 1 team, you want to have a game to lose, right?
Right.
I mean, you're going into this game, you want to beat them, of course, but at least you're not playing them in a do or die situation.
Right.
If worst case scenario happens, you guys drop one, you still live to play another day, rather than maybe facing them, in the losers bracket. You hope to avoid that type of scenario, right? Where you're playing the number 1 team in the losers bracket and you got to win or go home. So yeah, I mean, Florida State probably going in there with the mentality of, hey, we're playing the number 1 team in the nation. Let's throw in all of our chips. We got nothing to lose. If we go to losers bracket, so be it. It is what it is. But there's a rare stat you brought up before, and I got to bring it up because I want to be that guy. How many times has Florida State made it to Omaha?
Well, I think you make a good point from what you just said, where you said, like, they kind of got nothing to lose when you're in this position, because, I mean, we've made it to Omaha. This is our 24th trip to Omaha. And you know how many College World Series we have?
Three. Yeah, that's 3, right? That's 3.
No, that's the other fingers. That's a big. That's a big fat 0. That is one of the most wild, painful things to even think about from our program. I mean, you look at, Mike Martin won 40 plus games in 40 plus seasons. I mean, they made the College World Series. They made it to Omaha 23 times, 3-time national runner up, but never got the win. And I think one of the reasons that the pressure isn't really on this year is because, man, we were so bad last year that even when this team, I was telling Michael earlier, when this team started 19-0, we didn't really have a tough beginning schedule, but I think they set it up that way to get them some confidence. We got swept by Clemson, and then, we lost the series at Wake, but we were able to beat Duke in the regular season. So it was kind of like, I mean, hopefully we'll make it to a regional. We expect that, but I don't think Omaha was on the table early in the season. I don't think we had to. Of course, I mean, they probably expected to get to Omaha, but I don't think we expected that after the terrible year that we had. But I think actually the terrible year last year was really good for us because Link was able to end the season, go out in the portal, find a lot of this help. And now, coincidentally, I think going far in the postseason is also great for us because it sells that vision of what he's trying to sell on the recruiting trail. So, yeah, man, I mean, it's painful to think about 23 trips and no World Series, and hate it for you guys, but hopefully this is the year we break the seal. And I know there's that little bit of history with Link Jarrett. You're hoping maybe he has has cracked the enigma to beat Tennessee. I know it's a completely different situation there. This is probably a better team than that Notre Dame team was. But I mean, we'll have to see, man. You hope lightning can strike twice in the same spot, but I mean, this is going to be a tough one.
Well, let me pour water on the fire because I know I just started one. But it really does. Tennessee is a team like a basketball school. Lady Vols, how many national championships they won under Pat Summitt. Our men's basketball team has never even won a championship. And on top of that, never even made a Final Four. So, I understand the drought feeling of making it to a tournament and then not capitalizing. But I did want to bring that up because who knows? Why not this year? I mean, I hope not for your sake. I mean, for our sake. But maybe this is the year to do it. And I would agree with you. Kind of the year to do it when nobody's really talking about you guys going into the World Series. In my opinion, it's not really about Florida State. It's about really almost every other team other than Florida State. And so why not be it this year and to get that first one in 24 tries?
No, I agree, man. I really do feel like we kind of are the underdog coming into this, and you just got nothing to lose. I think a lot of people didn't think we deserved to even be a top 8 seed originally. And then, I mean, you see Florida coming on. They knocked off Clemson. They made it in. That was an insane game, but we swept Florida in the regular season. I know that, this midweek game, so it's a completely different scenario there. But, yeah, I mean, they've beat some good teams, and so I think that they could be dangerous. But, yeah, man. And by the way, I love that y'all hate Florida too, so we always have that in common.
Yeah, there we go.
Hate them, brother.
Yeah, but
that's all the questions I had. Yeah, go ahead.
I've got an interesting stat for both of y'all. So, Tennessee's never won a national championship. Florida State never has. But including Georgia and NC State, who are playing tonight, how many combined national championships have been won in baseball by the 9 teams still remaining?
I know UVA has won. UVA won in 2015. I know that because I did stats earlier.
Was that over Vanderbilt?
Yes.
I think so. And then they were runner-up in 14. I don't think UNC has one. I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't really know.
Skylar, I know it's you can count on your hand. I know it's less than 5.
3.
Yeah.
UVA has one. Florida won in 2017.
I forgot about Florida.
And Georgia back in 1990.
I should have known Florida. What the hell?
Yeah, I forgot about Florida. I mean, they've been a pretty decent program, so.
Yeah, only 3 titles total between the 9 teams that are remaining in the NCAA tournament.
I love this for SEC's sake. They've won the last 5, and I think 3 of the 5 potentially that can make the World Series were not part of that stretch. So there's a good chance that they can make it 6 in a row with a 6th different team, if that makes sense. Which is kind of nuts to think about, but that's just a side note. But anyway.
Well, hopefully we'll be an SEC team soon. That's the hope, obviously. So
we're laying left and right, brother. So you come on in. I mean, it's crazy.
Exactly. I'm ready. Trust me.
I would do it just to watch y'all beat Florida every year.
Oh, yeah, that would be awesome. And I mean, when you look at this matchup between us and Tennessee, it's I know you guys had the little bit of angst with the way kind of Link handled things a few years ago, but we still kind of owe you guys one for that 99 national championship or the 98 national championship game. So yeah, we'll take that now if you don't mind. We'll take
no, that. Actually, we took that ass whooping from the 10s to the 20s. We didn't even have a football program during that year. Those years. I feel like we served our time, brother. I think we should.
Yeah. Oh man, we've been on death row the last few years on the football field, so it feels good to be out of that.
It's been crazy, man. But we really do appreciate you having on, man. Joining the show and talk about the matchup. Didn't really realize the offensive firepower that you guys have. So thank you for getting me nervous about that. But I am looking forward to the pitching matchup in this one. Who are you guys going to go with? Are you going to roll with the number 1? Are we going to stick to our rotation? Because we haven't really talked about if we're going to swap out. I doubt we do that. But then again, Tony V did it in the SEC tournament. So I kind of wonder if that was him kind of, maybe showing us what he could do for the World Series. Maybe swap it up a little bit. But man, we've really enjoyed you having on. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm gonna let Michael close it out for you.
Yeah, definitely. But I got one question for both of you guys. And Michael, I totally meant I had this to bring up on our show this morning. I totally forgot the most important question of the College World Series: who's going to win the Jello Shot Challenge? Because I'm putting my money on you guys, to be honest. I mean, Florida man is a thing.
No, hang on. There's some math to this, okay? Because you have to choose a fan base that's going to be there the longest as well, right?
That's true. Now, I got UNC and UVA kind of a wine and cheese crowd. I don't know that they're going to be partaking. We're from they're ACC blue bloods. We're from Florida. We're cutting loose. But I got my money on you guys. So
I honestly think A&M could be up there.
Yeah. I mean, the Colt, they got to, you got to have Jello Shots to be part of that.
I think Tennessee's a close second.
I'm going to throw in another wild card. And the only reason I don't think this one is because I don't think that they'll make it too far. But what about Georgia?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. I forgot about them.
They're not in it, though, yet, are they?
No.
Yeah. I think the game's tied 2-2. I've got it on my phone over here. But yeah.
So you're getting really risky because you're choosing a team that you don't even know is going to be there.
Yeah.
I got you. What about you? Who do you think? You really thinking?
Man, I think Tennessee's got a good chance. I mean,
really?
Okay. Man, I think you guys know how to party. Knoxville's always a great time, and I mean, I think you guys will be in the tournament long enough. I think that will be our Achilles heel. That will be our downfall, is maybe an early exit. But if we hang around, man, I think it's between Florida State and Tennessee, and then again, I think Georgia. Obviously, if they make it's got to be an honorable mention because, man, they are a wild bunch. So
last year we were dang near last place because we were out so early. It was rough.
Can we all agree on this though? We're all glad that LSU is not in there because they.
Oh man,
68,000, brother.
That's crazy, man. We have to start a GoFundMe just to get some Jello shots on the board.
No, that's a great question. I'm glad you brought that up, brother. That was awesome.
But Jesse, we really appreciate you coming on. You want to give a shout out to all your socials so that the folks can follow you?
Yeah, man, of course. Obviously, I appreciate you guys having me on. You can find us on Twitter at Plant the Spear 1. I was a little late to the jump to get the OG name. Of course, we're on Facebook and Instagram as well. Or you can just go to plantthespear.com. We do have a website, kind of our hub for everything. You can find all our YouTube videos and stuff like that. Of course, we're on YouTube as well at Plant the Spear. But yeah, man. And also, of course, I can't go without shouting out the College Huddle. That's what brought us together. And I know we got some exciting things in the works. We were talking about it earlier. Literally every team in this, whether Georgia or NC State wins, we got a representative for each team. So I know the College Huddle is going to be cranking out some baseball content here coming up. But yeah, man, just excited for that as well. And I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yep, absolutely, man. Appreciate you coming on. We're going to put your socials in the YouTube description as well. That way our folks can follow you on there. But looking forward to the game coming up. And good luck to you, man.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. Good luck in every game but the first one. So
yeah,
we gotta end y'all's winning streak, brother. Y'all are undefeated in the tournament. Come on.
Well, we're probably gonna need a little bit more than luck, but hey, I think it ain't got to be pretty. Long as it's a W, it don't matter. But man, I'm genuinely really excited for this game. I'm nervous. I'm excited for this game, and just man, college baseball is such a fun sport. It's, in my opinion, one of the most underrated sports out there. And this postseason has been really a display of that. And I think this tournament in Omaha is going to be another really, really great run for the postseason of college baseball.
Couldn't have said it better myself, man.
100% agree, man. Jesse, appreciate you coming on with us.
Yeah, guys, appreciate it. And y'all have a good one.
You too. So that is Jesse from the Plant the Spear podcast. And he couldn't have said it better with the College Huddle. That just shows how great this College Huddle is, because we would have never met him, done a collab with him, anything like that, if it wasn't for the College Huddle. So that this is awesome what we're a part of.
I also think he said something. I kind of like this guy. I'm not even gonna lie, but he said something about college baseball and just the state of the sport, where it's at. Honestly, for NIL to cause a lot of problems in the football world, I think it's actually made college baseball a lot better. You're starting to see some of these athletes want to stay back and represent a school and a university and also get a little bit of a paycheck at the same time. And you have that competitive baseball. Whereas, they could go to single A or double A overseas, wherever, and play professional baseball. Yeah, but they're not really getting paid and they don't have a big following. Now they get to go play in front of 10, 15 in Omaha, probably 20,000 fans. I mean, it's crazy. It's competitive. It's fun. I love where college baseball is at, and it's growing rapidly. And I think NIL is actually helping this sport out where it could be causing a lot of issues in other sports.
Yeah, I totally agree. So,